is LJ, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. Welcome to the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I wish I could be with you for every episode, but don't worry, I have chosen an awesome host who will be with you each and every week. I love her, and I know you will too. Here's Allie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I am your host, Allie, joined today by Karla, Katie, and Stacy. Today's episode, we are going to talk about the magic, where it began for us, and how it can begin for you. Girls, tell me, we are all moms. We are all at different phases of our momming life. I have young children, as does Katie. Karla has that middle age, and Stacy, you've joined a whole new phase of life with a new grandbaby.
And it is amazing.
How old is she now?
She is 10 months old.
Absolutely amazing. Tell me a little bit about, when was your first trip to Disney? Everyone, did you grow up going to Disney? Did you become a Disney adult out of thin air as you got older? Where did it begin for you?
So for me, this is Karla. And for me, I grew up in Florida. I actually still currently live in Florida. So I grew up getting to experience Disney at pretty much all ages of my life. A little fun fact is that my mother actually worked for Disney the second year it was open.
What?
So yeah.
Crazy.
So get this too. She worked at Disney at specifically Magic Kingdom. I guess that was the only park that was open at the time, selling hookahs.
They sold hookahs at Magic Kingdom?
So apparently they did, because I have the pictures to prove it. Also, something hilarious is that, so we live in Tampa and she lived in Tampa. Her and her best friend used to drive from Tampa to Orlando every day for work in their Volkswagen Beetle. And Disney was such a huge thing back then. There was a ton of traffic, and the police officers used to allow them to drive in the grass around the traffic because they had to get to work.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So just VIP treatment for a cast member.
VIP for cast members.
Were they called cast members back then?
You know, I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
That's an interesting question. If you haven't been to Disney World, all employees on Disney property are actually called cast members because they are all part of this incredible act and experience that you get to experience. They're part of what makes everything so incredible about Disney, in my opinion. What about you, Katie? Did you grow up going to Disney?
I actually didn't. I guess that's kind of my unique perspective here, is just that I didn't get to go to Disney growing up. I remember watching the commercials, and even like my younger siblings, they would ask my parents all the time, can we go to Disney? As if it was just like going to the local amusement park, but we could never swing it and make it happen. I went to Magic Kingdom for one day whenever I was 18 years old with a high school group. And it sealed the deal for me that everything was just completely magical. It wasn't like going to my local theme park. It was a whole other level. And that day just really touched me and left an imprint on my life. So whenever I got older and had my own kids, learned everything I needed to know. And I kind of came back from it and said, I feel like I could do this forever.
Right?
Yeah, it's so true. That perspective right there of, I feel like I could do this forever. It is so true. You have that one magical trip or that one big moment, and you're kind of hooked. You know, you want to keep going back because the feeling while you're there is so intoxicating, and it takes over my whole family. You know, my littlest ones to the oldest ones in the family. We grew up going to Disney. I am not a Florida local. I'm from the Midwest, born and raised. I still live here. And our big family vacation every year was to Disney World. My grandparents did live in Florida, so they joined us every year, and we visited all the theme parks. I was there the year, well, it was called MGM, now Hollywood Studios, opened. I was there the year Animal Kingdom opened. I was there to see the Cake Castle on Disney's 25th anniversary.
Awesome.
I was on one of the first rides in the first few months that Tower of Terror opened. So all of these big milestones that everybody still loves or experiences, visits today, I experienced them growing up as, you know, a young girl from the Midwest. And I think I really just fell in love with it because it was something my family all could agree on. One sibling, my brother, he's about 5 years older than me. So we didn't have a ton in common, but whenever we were at Disney World, we just did. You know, the drives down and the things we wanted to do and share together while we were there. It was just the closest we were at any given point in our lives in a year. And those are the things that I think resonate the most with me and now just manifest as nostalgia. I want that for my family, and I've started bringing them, annually and quite honestly more than just once a year now that I have a family of my own, because it's just a feeling you can't get anywhere else.
In that way, the way you're talking about with your brother and how you weren't getting along. I mean, not that you don't necessarily get along. I'm not trying to say that, but that your time together at Disney was just different and magical. And like, that's one of my favorite things. I have 5 children and various ages. And, of course, there's always a little bit of the cat and dog fighting at home. But when they're at Disney World, it's like all that melts away and they're best friends and they just have the best time. And that is magical in itself. So,
and even if that's not necessarily accurate, like it sure does feel that way, doesn't it?
It does. As the parent, gosh, my kids get overtired, oversugared, overstimulated, all the things you think with Disney. And, there are meltdowns and arguments. I remember my brother and I getting in one of our arguments in one of my trips when I was a little girl. And he left the room. And I remember I felt pretty badly about it because he left. But when he came back, he had gone to the gift shop and he bought me a Mickey and Minnie charm bracelet to apologize with his own money.
Do you still have it?
I do. It's at my parents' house and it's gold.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, those are the things that, he couldn't drive. If we were at home arguing, we were going to go to our separate rooms and that was going to be the end of it. But we were arguing and he felt badly and I felt badly and he bought me a charm bracelet, and that's just what Disney brings out in you. And it's what keeps me drawn to it. As Katie said, she said, I could do this forever. Those are the moments that you live in when you're on one trip that you think, I can't go a lifetime without feeling that again.
Absolutely.
100%. And you were saying earlier about like just that sense of family connection. And I would say that, gosh, I've taken my kids on beach trips, and beach trips are great, but the level of connection that I feel with my kids whenever we're at Disney is just unparalleled. I'm seeing the magic through their eyes as it's happening, and I will never forget those moments.
Yep.
Not only that, and I think you touched on this a little bit, Allie, is that nostalgia factor. And having experienced Disney as a little girl and through all the ages of my life, but now getting to see my kids do some of those same exact things that I did. I very specifically remember being a little girl and sitting on my dad's shoulders during the Main Street Electrical Parade. A couple years ago, we got to go to Disney with my parents, and then my kids got to sit on my dad's shoulders during the electrical parade. And it was like that feeling of twofold moment where, you've been there before and now you're watching these little tiny creatures that you created getting to do the exact same thing. And then seeing your dad also in that moment is just amazing.
It's that I could cry thinking about it. I have a very similar memory of my dad holding my son. And it's just, oh my gosh, that was my brother a minute ago, and that was me 5 seconds ago. And now to see it through them. And my mom is so sentimental. And every time we would leave Disney World, she would get so sad. And she would always say, one last look. And we would all stop at the end of Main Street and turn around to sort of soak in the castle for that last moment until next year. And I still do that with my kids, even though we see it multiple times a year now. We don't leave Disney property without that one last look.
Y'all are making me a little misty-eyed this morning.
Me too.
So, we have that nostalgia. Katie has it fresh. And to your point, Katie, you had said you loved watching it unfold in your kids' eyes because you have little ones and now they live in Florida and they're immersed in this culture and this world more often. But prior to that, your first Disney trip that you took and planned that had you hooked, there are probably moments of that trip that your girls are not going to remember. And I hear that all the time. Wait until your kids can remember it. And my kids won't remember. The thing is, these trips are as much for me as it is for my kids. Me watching them experience these things are memories I'm going to have forever. They're only going to love the magic of meeting Mickey in a specific way for so long. I cling to those things just as I know my parents do, and I know all of you do as well, as part of what makes Disney so magical.
I agree with you completely. For our first trip back in 2021, my kids were 5, 2, and 4 months old. So obviously my 4-month-old baby is not remembering a lot of the details of her very first trip. But I specifically remember we scouted out the perfect spot for the fireworks show. And there was another mom that she was wearing a shirt that said, "I cried during the fireworks." And man, I need that shirt too. But she was standing in a really specific spot. She said, "If you stand right here next to me, you'll have the perfect spot for your kids to see without having to hoist them on your shoulders." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing." And I will remember forever, like my two older girls, Bella and Emma, they were both just blown away by the fireworks show and seeing Tinkerbell flying from the castle. But even holding my 4-month-old and just seeing the wonder in her eyes while she was taking it all in, of course she's not going to remember it, but like
you'll never forget it.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly it. And it's that woman that had a shirt that meant that she'd clearly seen this show before and she wanted to help you. It's people like that you're going to experience, and it's core memories like the ones of your girls watching that show for the first time that build these trips and have us wanting more. The Disney blues are a real thing. You get home and it's this huge letdown of, I had these moments, I have these memories now, and I need them again.
So you know what magic feels like, and that magic is not at home.
It certainly is not.
Hey, we are all moms of kids at different ages. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will hit our categories. Okay, everyone, listeners of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast, subscribers, participants, we are so excited. We have something big. Like, I cannot even believe how big this is. Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast is partnering with Smart Moms Plan Disney to give away a deluxe Disney family vacation. We are giving it away to one family. A deluxe vacation. Families of up to 4 will be able to stay at a Disney deluxe property for 3 nights with 4 days of tickets. Have more than 4 in your family? That's no problem. Families of up to 6 can stay in a family suite at Art of Animation and still get the 4 days of tickets. This would cost almost $7,500 to go book this trip on your own, and we're going to give it away to one family for free. Also, we're moms here, so we've made it easy to enter. We know that you don't have a lot of time to waste taking forever to enter a contest, so follow the link in our show notes and on all of our social media bios, and entering will be a breeze. There are several ways to enter, and the more you do, the better chances you have of going to visit the mouse on our dime. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to dive right into our categories now, where we can get deeper into our conversation about the magic of Disney and what it means to us, what it can mean to you from the perspective of the 7 dwarves in our segment we call The 7. Ladies, my favorite dwarf, of course, Happy. Talk to me a little bit about what is it that makes you happy about planning a vacation or being on your Disney vacation?
Oh my gosh, there is so much. I think that my happiest spot where just everything comes together, all the planning, all the money, everything. And you're walking underneath the train station at Magic Kingdom and you hit Main Street for that first time. And it's like you stop and you take in, you know, the sights, the smells, the sounds, you feel chills, you feel tears. That right there is my happy spot.
You know what's funny for me is it starts even before you get to the park. So you hear, or maybe you haven't heard, people talk about this Disney bubble. And there are a few entrances into Disney World, and you drive under that Walt Disney World sign with the one. It's so huge. And I just feel like even the air is different once you drive under that sign. And a lot of people don't realize that once you're within Disney World, you know, the street signs turn purple and the electrical lines have Mickey heads on them. And it's in those moments that I realize I'm here. I've made it. I feel differently. My smile is bigger. What's the first Disney landmark I'm going to see? It's typically Tower of Terror based on where I'm coming from, but I just always get so excited. The first time I drive under the Skyliner, you know, I'm there and I'm happy and I'm in my happy place and it just feels different already.
Is it too confusing to jump to another 7 dwarf because you're bringing up the signs and the Tower of Terror, and how it makes me a little bit grumpy that the Tower of Terror building, the little fake Tower of Terror that we could drive by on the way into the entrance, that it's gone now.
I know. Oh my gosh. I haven't thought about that I haven't thought about that sign. Yes, it's so true. That used to be the first thing you would see when you walked in, and people that have been to Disney World a lot will remember that fake Tower of Terror with the
moving like little twitching elevator.
Yes.
The little wobbly elevator was hanging there. And I just loved that. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I am grumpy that that's gone. And it is true that even though so much of Disney makes us happy, there are plenty of things that do make us grumpy.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry to switch gears like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not super fun to wait in long lines with little kids.
No. The weather makes me a little grumpy too, and I'm a Floridian. I should be used to it, but it's not that it's not doable, because there are plenty of ways to do it right. But in the midst of the sweat, occasionally I do get a little grumpy.
Well, I'm grumpy if it's cold at Disney World, so let's just say that. I want the heat. I want the heat.
My grumpy moment at Disney is like, I've spent all this time planning this vacation, and my kids are having like a breakdown, and they're having
a magical meltdown. A magical meltdown, Katie.
And you're like, you're in the happiest place on earth.
Most magical place. Yeah, you're in the most magical place on earth. It's going to happen. If you're planning a Disney trip, if it's your first trip, if you have kids, they're going to cry. There's going to be that moment where you're walking World Showcase and they want a Remy shoulder pet, and you said no, and they're going to melt down and they're going to scream and cry about Remy. But just remember that they're tired and they've had too much sugar, and this too shall pass.
Speaking of tired, let's talk about sleepy. I know you like this one, Allie.
This is it for me. If you know me, and you'll get to know me, the Disney resorts are the most magical part of a Disney vacation to me. I love them. I love that there are so many of them. I love that there are so many different themes, so you can truly have a soulmate resort. What's a perfect resort for you may be different than the perfect resort for me. And it can come down to budget or theming preferences or location.
Yeah, what's it come down for you, Allie? I know the answer to this.
For me, it's a no-brainer. It's the view.
The view.
It's the view. I need a resort where I have a balcony for coffee in the morning and a glass of red wine at night. And when I'm sitting on that balcony, I need to be able to take in something extra for my trip. The Savannah view at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
I love it.
Yep. It's like 2 vacations in one. You're in these busy, overstimulating theme parks all day long. And then your kids are asleep and the room is quiet and you're out looking at giraffes at night. That's 2 vacations. That's not just
one. And not only that, it's that like special moment with yourself that you can just reflect on. That's what you're waking up to in the morning. That's what your last moment before you turn down for the night is, sitting out there and just having that last moment and like patting yourself on the back as a mom and being like, I did this.
Yes.
Like this. And this is for me. Like, this is my reward right here, is this view right now.
Exactly. And I always tell people the Disney vacation may be for your kids, but the resort is for you. You need those moments. You need that downtime. Savannah is one of my favorites. Sitting on the balcony at the Polynesian overlooking Magic Kingdom. I mean, we watched the fireworks from there back in December. It's so much a part of what makes a trip, in my opinion. And for me, it's that view. And that probably stems from my dad and our trips when I was younger. We were the family that drove cast members insane when we changed rooms 6 times until we had the view that worked. But, it just was. It was what we did. And it ran off on me. And I specifically remember this one stay we had it was called Dixie Landings at the time. And now it's Port Orleans Riverside. It's still there. And the grounds are still the same as they were when it was Dixie Landings. And it's a beautiful resort. It does not have balconies, but there are tons of different buildings. And so you can be in prime locations or not. And I can remember my mom just taking my brother and I to the pool and just saying, okay, you have at it. You find the room and let us know when you do. And he did. And it was room 1412, and that room is still there. And I stayed at Port Orleans Riverside with my family for one night last year. And that room was still there. We walked right by it. I got a picture in front of it. And I chuckled because it was a perfect location. It was directly between the food, the lobby, and the main pool. And I realized in that moment, this is why I love these resorts, is because it was bred into me.
I think what I love about that conversation, Allie, is you were a kid in that moment choosing that room, and you still were able to choose the most strategic, perfect room.
No, that I give it up. That was my dad. He did the room swapping, and it rubbed off on me. I witnessed all of it. And for any Smart Moms travel agents listening, we are so excited to introduce the Hidden Mickey section. And any Smart Moms travel agent will know what this is for. Today's Hidden Mickey is going to be views. When it comes to resorts, I've made it clear that the view is everything to me. So our first Hidden Mickey is going to be views.
Like, that's expert stuff right there. Like, that reminds me of Doc. So Doc knows all the things. Doc's going to get you where you need to go. Doc is going to tell you what you need to know. What are those must-know things about Disney that you want to share?
That's such a good question. For me, use Genie Plus.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Genie Plus.
That's the Brainiac thing.
I think we can all agree that Genie Plus is such a game changer. It is the difference between standing in line all day long and not. And everybody has access to it, and it's up to you whether or not you learn about it, get acquainted with it beforehand, and whether or not you slay your day at Disney.
Exactly. What do you think the wait is right now as we're recording this for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train?
Oh, gosh.
70 minutes.
Okay, it's 10 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. I'm going to say 65 minutes.
I'll go 75.
You're all wrong. It's 80 minutes.
No!
80 minutes on a Wednesday morning as we sit here recording. Being stuck in that line, I know that it's an extra expense, but to me, our time is so valuable when we're in these parks. You know, most people have one day at Magic Kingdom when they're on their vacation.
Mm-hmm.
80 minutes in line.
That's rough. And to start your day that way, those people probably in some way rope dropped, and they're still having to wait 80 minutes.
Exactly. We're going to dive much deeper into Genie Plus and the whole system and how to use it, because it is so overwhelming to so many if you've never used it. But truly, once you're in there and you've done it, you get the hang of it so fast. You become an expert really quickly. And like I said, we're going to cover that in an episode coming up, so make sure you don't miss that. But
let me throw in too that we're not saying everyone should get it because as travel agents, we get some sort of kickback from that.
No,
oh my gosh, I wish I'd be rich.
Right. This is just from experience, and we know that this is the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's my best tip. And then also, don't try to cram everything into one vacation. You know, even if it is the one and only Disney vacation you're ever going to take as a family, you're still very likely not to hit every attraction and show. It's just
I agree.
not
like realistic expectations of crowds, of weather, of plans going wrong, and having a backup plan, having just as unrealistic as Disney itself is, because it's so magical, you have to be realistic in knowing your kids and knowing your husband, knowing everybody's capabilities and how many hours they can spend in the park and how many dining reservations you should have. I just think that people tend to overplan and overpack, and it gets to be where you're going to Disney with a checklist and, you know, I have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then you're telling your kids, and at this time, we're going to take a bathroom break. And I just want you to know, as a mom and having done it, it doesn't always go as planned. And that doesn't mean it's going to be less magical. It means that you adapt, and we'll give you ways to adapt, and that you're still going to have an amazing time.
That is 100% the best advice. I mean, we just got back from a trip, the four of us with three of our good friends. 7 of us just went and shared a tree house together. And by day 3, we were very tired and we had this whole day of plans scheduled. And that's what made our trip successful. So we're speaking from experience, everybody being able to do what made them happy and modify the agenda to make themselves enjoy what was in front of them. The flexibility.
And having that park hopper so that we could we could fix some of the misses. We had some things that we ended up not being able to do exactly as we wanted, but we had the park hopper and we were able to go back the next day and repair what we had missed.
I just wanted to add, if we're talking about our smart tip that relates to the magic, and this conversation is all sort of playing into your mindset while you're at Disney. And really, that is how you experience the magic, is you have to have a mindset that does cater to flexibility and does cater to just being grateful that you're in the most magical place on earth. But what I would say too is, even if you have Genie Plus, there are still going to be times that you're going to be waiting in lines, right? So I would say my best tip for experiencing the magic is to take part in participating in it with pixie dust. And what I usually tell my clients is pixie dust makes the line move faster. And what I mean by that is I'll order a roll of stickers or some rubber bracelets off of Amazon before we go. And my kids live for that moment of being in a line and looking for someone that's ahead of them in the zigzag to pass a bracelet or a sticker to. And they think that is great. And it really helps them to have that perspective of, oh my gosh, this is so magical. But it also helps me as a mom to feel sane. That they're not whining in line too.
Totally. That's such
so
a good
sweet.
idea.
Yeah.
So sweet.
I love that. There's no doubt, we have a ton of advice and things to give you that will make your day more enjoyable. But what do you think it is that maybe you're a little embarrassed about, that maybe somebody's embarrassed to ask while they're at Disney? Let's talk about bashful.
I think that's such a good question. And a lot of people are so bashful, intimidated, or nervous to really dive in and figure out what Disney costs, right? They're afraid to set expectations and set sights. I know for a fact Disney can meet lots of different budgets. I personally have helped families on a huge range. And the thing is that because of the resorts that we were talking about and the different ways that you can strategize your vacation and time of year, things like that, you truly can make it work in a lot of different budget ranges. It doesn't have to cost $10,000. It can, but it doesn't have to. And I find that a lot of people are pretty bashful when it comes to trying to figure out what a good set number is to put their sights on for this vacation.
I totally agree. And I can't tell you how many people put off going to Disney because they think it's completely out of their price range. It's just baffling sometimes because Disney puts so many things in place, booking a trip with only a $200 deposit and allowing you to make payments up until you travel. I mean, when you think about that, so say it's January now, I want to go December this year. I essentially have 11 months to pay for my trip. And when you break it down in that way, it really makes Disney more accessible than I think a lot of people think.
I completely agree. I think the inaccessibility is such a misconception.
So I have an issue with being a little bit bashful about the type of dining that we choose to do, because it feels like sometimes people don't think you're really having a nice trip unless you're having these fancy sit-down dinners and you're doing all of these character dinings. And honestly, our family prefers to spend our time out in the parks and not sitting in a restaurant for a long time. And I think a lot of people might be embarrassed by that, but the quick service opportunities at Disney are fantastic.
I agree, Stacy.
They've
really stepped up their game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You get a lot of really good food. You take a short break and then you can get right back to doing what you want to do. And I'm not saying that it's not great to do a character dining, but it definitely does take out a large chunk of your day, and it is more expensive.
And I would almost say, Stacy, that to me is our dopey, is our silly mistake that you can make, is to have too many sit down dinings.
Yeah.
If you have one a day, that is going to be a lot. You know, you get these last minute cancellations because by the time you get to the end of your trip, you're canceling dining left and right if you've had one every day. You're exactly right that one character dining, maybe two, you know, if you're doing different characters, but certainly not every meal, not every day.
Right.
Totally agree.
For sure.
What's some other silly mistakes you make while there? Well, let me start this one. I think I mentioned that I'm a Floridian. I should 100% know better and to be prepared at all times for Florida rainstorms. Listen, guys, they come and go. Sometimes they last all day. Very rarely do they. You should always have some sort of poncho, some sort of umbrella, maybe a rain jacket. You would think I would have all these things. I went a couple weeks ago, stormed for about 45 minutes. I had to buy ponchos, $20 ponchos.
Can we talk a little bit about Sneezy Dwarf here and the things we avoid?
And this is me being able to go as often as I am being a local. I'm avoiding those large crowd seasonal times. I'm avoiding spring break. Not saying that it can't be done. Just if I know it's a holiday weekend, I'm not going. Or if I do go, I'm staying at the resort. I'm enjoying the pool. I'm going to Disney Springs. There are ways, again, around those busier seasons to break up your day. Go to the park for a rope drop. Go back to your resort. Do a couple hours at the pool. Go back for the fireworks. There are definitely ways during those crowded, busy seasons to really be able to still enjoy the magic.
The thing I'm avoiding is so true to my brand. I'm not staying off site. I'm not doing it. I'm staying in the magic. I'm just avoiding having to drive in and park at the TTC and navigate every single day. Absolutely not.
I feel like so many people, whenever we talk to them about planning their Disney trip, they talk, like we mentioned about the My Disney Experience app. And that is a thing that I feel like people have an aversion to, that maybe they're like feeling sneezy about, that they don't want to get used to it. But like the best advice I could give you ahead of your trip is get used to the My Disney Experience app, right? Like that's
good.
Your source to place a mobile order, to book your lightning lanes.
It's like your lifeline at Disney.
For sure.
You have to be able to use it, and you have to accept from the get that it's not going to function properly. It's going to glitch. You're going to have issues. It's going to be confusing because it's not the most user-friendly thing in the world, but it is your lifeline, and Disney's really good about, I mean, last week it glitched for us when we were trying to get our virtual queue for Guardians in the extended evening hours at Epcot. And it did glitch on us. We were all 7 trying, and we just screenshotted the error, and guest services, they made it right for us because that's what Disney does.
Learning where those blue umbrellas are in the park and going to them, they are so helpful. The cast members at the guest services blue umbrellas are just stars of the park.
Yeah, they're part of the magic for sure.
You guys, that was so awesome, so helpful. We are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we are going to wrap up our segment.
Hey, y'all. So exciting. My first segment on the podcast. And I really still need y'all's help naming it. I want to say, like, this is LJ's whatever. And I don't know the name yet. So help me. Y'all got to find us on Instagram at the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast and tell me what you think my segment should be called. I want to talk today about what the magic means to me. Disney World really changed my entire life. In 2013, I was a corporate mom. I had my 2 oldest kids. I was working long hours, and I was in debt and getting more in debt. The bigger issue was that I really didn't see a problem with it. That is what all of my coworkers were doing, working long hours, going into debt, buying the big houses and the cars. It really was just normal. And I feel like it wasn't until we went to Disney in 2013 where I saw a different life and a different possibility for me. I've always been the sole breadwinner in our family. Mike has been a stay-at-home dad since I was pregnant with Seth, our oldest. So to come to that realization of like, hey, I really want to be home with my kid while you're the one that's earning every penny that your family makes. It's tough. I definitely didn't know what was possible, but Disney made me want to dream. Disney made me want to find a way to spend more time there and to spend more time with my kids. I left corporate America shortly after. I started my real estate business, and the next few years were actually pretty hard as I worked to try to get ahead. The bright side in all of this was that I was able to make more frequent trips to Disney. In 2014, I think I went to Disney quarterly, and then had my husband finally convinced that I needed to go to Disney every single month. By 2016, I was beginning to think, I have something to say about Disney. I could help moms get to Disney World. In 2017, I started Smart Moms Plan Disney, and I wrote my book, Disney World Within Reach. So in 2019, I started Smart Moms Travel, and that's where I want to say the rest is history, because that is what truly changed my life. For me, the magic of Disney is it makes you stop and really look at what you want out of your life. I think it's so easy to go, go, go. When I cross under that little sign, I feel so much better. I feel so much more at peace, and I feel so much better capable of deciding what I want. I don't know if it's all the distractions being removed, if I can really just focus on my husband and kids. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's magic there. And that magic has made me just clearly see what I want out of my life and what I don't want out of my life. And it changed everything.
Welcome back, everyone. We are going to move now into our lightning lane round. Ladies, are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm born ready for the lightning lane. Okay, here we go. Katie, what's your favorite view at Disney World?
My favorite view? Oh, that's the castle fireworks for sure.
Allie, favorite resort?
The Polynesian or the Beach Club. Easy. Karla,
That is too easy for her. That was an easy one.
Karla, what's your favorite show?
Favorite show? I'm going Harmonious right now. I know it's getting ready to leave, but I'm holding strong. I like it better than Enchantment. I said it. I said
Wow.
Katie, what's your favorite snack?
Oh, that's easy. The Woody's Lunchbox Tarts. Any one of them. They're fantastic.
You do love those.
Allie, what's your favorite drink?
The Moonshine Sour at Epcot, American Pavilion.
Karla,
Katie,
what's your favorite park?
Oh, Magic Kingdom. Easy.
Ooh, Karla, what's your favorite drink?
So many. I like to drink, you guys. I am going to go with the white sangria. It's a spice sangria for two back in Morocco at Epcot.
Ooh, we didn't have that for two last week. Okay. Stacy, favorite ride?
It's got to be Cosmic Rewind, Guardians of the Galaxy right now. That is the
100%
most
agree.
amazing thing I've ever ridden.
What do you guys think is the best ride at each park?
Okay, I'm going to have the hot take here. My favorite ride, well, I guess it could be a show too, is Carousel of Progress.
Oh, gosh.
Okay,
that's my
we're
sleazy.
canceling Katie, you guys. No
That's
more
my-
Katie. Katie has departed the team. We are now a team of 6.
I have to love the nostalgia of Carousel of Progress.
I
It's a
don't.
great, big, beautiful
That's my
tomorrow.
aversion. That's my aversion. I avoid it.
Okay, Hollywood Studios. I'm going to go. This one's hard.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's
I've got to
simple.
go Tower of Terror. I want to
That's
say
the correct
Rise,
answer.
and I feel like I should say Rise, but I'm going Tower.
It is.
You're correct. That is the correct answer.
You said it exactly right. You want to go Rise. You should say Rise, but it's in fact not the right answer. The right answer is Tower of Terror.
It's actually Slinky Dog Dash, but okay.
Gosh.
Okay, what are we thinking for Animal Kingdom?
Flight of Passage, one of the greatest rides of all time.
100%.
Yeah,
Oh.
indisputable.
It's Expedition Everest. Easy.
Oh gosh.
Do you have tears in your eyes after Expedition Everest, Katie?
No,
Is
but
your breath
relevant.
taken away by the beauty in which you just experienced
let me tell
after
you what,
Expedition Everest?
my breath is taken away by going backwards down the mountain through the Yeti cave.
Yo, spoiler alert. And then Epcot is hands down Guardians of the Galaxy. It's so great. It's such an
It's
experience. It's
Really, that's the number one ride, in my opinion, in all of Walt Disney World right now.
it's
For sure.
everything that Disney is turning into. You know,
Your
these are-
mind, people, earthlings out there listening to us, will be blown. Your mind will just absolutely, you will be floored. It is nothing that you can expect. It is just 100% out of this world, and you are going to love it.
I actually did have tears in my eyes afterwards. I was so happy with that ride that it made me cry.
The very first thing we said when we got off of it, my wife said, I just felt lucky to be alive.
Oh, I love that.
That's the way it felt on the ride. The first time we ever did it, I'm not into spoilers. I'm not going to say what happens, but this very specific moment, it was just, wow, I can't believe we're here.
I just got chills.
Yeah, I can't believe we're doing this. And in my opinion, it's everything Disney is becoming. Attractions are not just get on the ride and get off the ride. It's the queue. It's immersive, start to finish, a story, a theme.
They're really hitting on all the five senses.
And Rise of the Resistance really did start that at Disney. And it was the stages of the experience were so impressive to me. So I know we kind of, put it behind Tower of Terror, but it did open up this whole new world that Disney is getting into with just like, I don't want to give too much away with that too, but how many of us, or was I the only one, that when we entered the ship, I don't know all the names, I really thought, is this it? And no, it was not it. That was just a teaser.
Thanks so much for listening once again to the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. If you are planning, looking at planning, or ready to start planning again, be sure to reach out to your Smart Moms travel agent. If you don't already have one, make sure you hit us up in the link in our bio or in the show notes to get connected with one of our hosts. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts so you're the first to know when a new episode drops, and hit us up on social media. Until next time, we'll see you real soon.